Warning: this article contains spoilers for Daredevil. Born Again Season 1, Episode 8. Despite Frank Castle's influence on Matt Murdock's MCU story, the Punisher has been completely absent from Daredevil. Born Again. In the period between the Punisher Season 2's ending and Daredevil, Born Again, many members of the New York Police Department have co-opted the Punisher's iconography to represent their overly violent crime-fighting methods. Frank Castle himself seems to have taken a long break from his vigilant life, and some unidentified individuals have impersonated him to commit crimes such as murdering Hector Ayala Eka, White Tiger, and pinning the blame for serious crimes on innocent civilians. Daredevil. Born Again Episode 4 didn't reveal what exactly Frank Castle has been doing since the Punisher Season 2, where he rejected an offer to work for the authorities and decided to keep fighting crime on his own. Something serious must have happened since then, as Frank Castle seems more weary of vigilantism than ever before. Still, the Punisher hasn't abandoned his faith in brutal methods of crime fighting, considering the harsh words he exchanged with Matt Murdock. Now, the biggest question is where the Punisher has been during most of Daredevil. Born Again. Jon Bernthal's Punisher returned in Daredevil. Born Again Episode 4, where Matt Murdock went to him for advice following Hector Ayala's murder and Wilson Fisk's rise to power. Frank Castle confronted Matt Murdock, acknowledging Matt's pent-up anger and his desire to go back to his Daredevil days. Turns out Frank Castle was right, and Matt Murdock soon came back as Daredevil, more violent than ever before. However, the Punisher has been completely absent from Daredevil. Born Again since Episode 4, and no other episode has referenced his whereabouts. The Punisher hasn't returned in Daredevil. Born Again due to Frank Castle and Matt Murdock's disagreement over lethal force. More than a decade after their first encounter in Daredevil Season 2, Frank and Matt still butt heads over the ethics of murder, and they fail to reach a conclusion about the aftermath of Hector Ayala's death. Logistically speaking, Jon Bernthal's Punisher didn't appear in the original version of the series. After Daredevil. Born Again's creative overhaul, Frank Castle was added, but only as a minor character in a couple of episodes. Jon Bernthal's Frank Castle has only appeared in one Daredevil. Born Again scene, sporting longer hair and a full beard. While the Punisher and Daredevil seem to part ways decisively in Daredevil. Born Again Episode 4, the Punisher will probably return at least once more before the series ends. Bernthal's Punisher has been included in trailers and clips, sporting his traditional short hair and no-beard look, fighting alongside a fully costumed Daredevil. Hence, the Punisher is almost guaranteed to appear in Daredevil. Born Again Episode 9. Why the Punisher would come back to help Daredevil would have been difficult to answer before Daredevil. Born Again Episode 8. However, Daredevil. Born Again Episode 8's ending may have dropped a hint. Matt Murdock's split-second decision to save Wilson Fisk from Bullseye's sniper bullet during the ball may spark a chaotic, free-for-all conflict between Wilson Fisk, Bullseye, and Matt Murdock, requiring the latter to resort to the Punisher's ultra-violent skills in order to defeat the former two. After Daredevil. Born Again Episode 9, Daredevil and Punisher may work together again to expose and depose Wilson Fisk. Daredevil. Born Again Episode 4 hinted that, despite what appears to be a self-imposed retirement, the Punisher was busy working on something before Matt Murdock arrived in his lair searching for help. The Punisher's improvised HQ is furnished with weapons of all kinds, tools, clippings, and screens. He doesn't seem to be participating in active combat. Instead, Jon Bernthal's Frank Castle seems to be investigating one or more criminal gangs, or perhaps the corrupt police force itself, and he seems to be frustrated about it. Marvel Studios is officially releasing a Punisher spin-off after Daredevil. Born Again in the form of a special presentation. The Punisher's upcoming special presentation has plenty of available material to explore. For instance, it could follow John Bernthal during the blip or between the events of Daredevil, Born Again Seasons 1 and 2. Otherwise, the Punisher spin-off could take place simultaneously to the events of Daredevil, Born Again, revealing what exactly Frank Castle has been up to before and after he reuniting with Matt Murdock. ****Why? The Punisher has been missing from most of Daredevil, Born Again ever-evolving landscape of comic book adaptations. Few stories have captured the audience's imagination like those intertwined with the complex characters of Marvel Comics. Among these figures, Daredevil and the Punisher stand out, each embodying contrasting ideologies related to justice, morality, and the human experience. The much-anticipated series Daredevil, Born Again has generated significant buzz, particularly concerning the notable absence of Frank Castle, famously known as the Punisher. His lack of presence raises intriguing questions about storytelling choices, character arcs, and the thematic direction of the series. A legacy of complexity to understand why the Punisher is notably absent in Daredevil, Born Again, it is essential to examine the intricate legacy of both characters. Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock, often grapples with his Catholic guilt, striving to maintain his moral compass while navigating the treacherous underbelly of Hell's Kitchen. His approach to justice is deeply rooted in redemption and rehabilitation, believing that even the most hardened criminals deserve a second chance. In stark contrast, the Punisher operates under a more brutal philosophy, one that advocates for lethal justice and revenge. Frank Castle embodies a by any means necessary ethos, dealing with crime using fatal force without hesitation. Their dynamic has historically been characterized by conflict, with Daredevil striving to stop the Punisher's violent crusade against criminality. This tension lends itself to fascinating storytelling. However, Daredevil, Born Again, opts to focus on Matt's internal struggles and evolution, perhaps reserving the Punisher's explosive presence for future narratives. Shifting narrative focus, Daredevil, Born Again aims to explore themes of redemption, identity, and resilience, focusing primarily on Matt Murdock's journey after the events of Daredevil and The Defenders. Instead of portraying a direct conflict with Frank Castle's philosophies, the creators may be prioritizing the development of Matt's character as he navigates the challenges of being a vigilant while contending with the consequences of past actions. This narrative choice allows the series to delve deeper into the emotional and psychological intricacies of Daredevil, making the absence of the Punisher all the more palpable. In a world where superhero narratives often rely heavily on action-packed confrontations, Daredevil, Born Again appears to be carving a different path. By sidelining the Punisher, the creators may be aiming to emphasize themes of forgiveness, rehabilitation, and the struggles of a flawed hero attempting to find his place in a chaotic universe. The absence of Frank Castle serves to highlight the loneliness and isolation that often accompany a life of vigilantism, showcasing how these two characters function as contrasting representations of justice while allowing for deeper character exploration. The shadow of violence. Another significant reason for the Punisher's absence may be the series' desire to shift away from the overtly violent tones that have defined both characters in previous adaptations. With the Punisher's narrative steeped in bloodshed and unyielding vengeance, bringing him into Daredevil, Born Again could thrust the story into a harsher, more graphic territory that might overshadow Daredevil's character development. Given current cultural conversations surrounding violence in media, the showrunners might intentionally choose to avoid glorifying Frank Castle's extreme methods by keeping him at bay, at least for now. Instead of focusing on his role as a one-man army against crime, the creators could aim for a more subdued exploration of moral dilemmas and the consequences of heroism. This narrative choice can provide a nuanced discourse on the ramifications of violence, perhaps leaving the door open for Punisher's eventual appearance when the narrative is ready to confront those themes directly. The potential for future development, the absence of the Punisher does not indicate exclusion from the larger Marvel narrative. Instead, this decision might be part of a broader strategy to develop layered arcs for each character individually before intertwining their narratives in more explosive ways. The creators of Daredevil, Born Again, may be laying the groundwork for Frank Castle's inevitable return, crafting a compelling build-up to showcase their ideological establishing Matt's vulnerabilities and triumphs in this new chapter of his life. The groundwork is being set for a consequential encounter should Frank reappear. A future confrontation could bring both characters to a pivotal moment, testing Matt's resolve as he confronts the depths of Frank's darkness. This slow-burn approach raises the stakes, allowing for an even more impactful clash when they eventually do cross paths. Exploring broader themes of justice. In a larger context, exploring why the Punisher is missing allows for the opportunity to question the nature of justice itself. The show may want to challenge viewers to consider the moral complexities surrounding vigilant justice. Instead of directly engaging with the Punisher's philosophy, viewers can reflect on Daredevil's journey alone, emphasizing mercy, compassion, and the difficult journey of redemption. Additionally, by focusing on Matt's character arc, the series may be setting the stage for a broader examination of justice within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As heroes grapple with their ideologies in an increasingly complex world, the absence of the Punisher could reflect larger societal questions about the justice system, punishment, and moral accountability. Looking ahead as Daredevil, Born Again progresses, fans remain hopeful for a future confrontation between Matt Murdock and Frank Castle. The anticipation builds, suggesting that their inevitable clash will carry far deeper emotional weight, rooted in the journeys both characters undertake in pursuit of their unique visions of justice. The gradual approach allows viewers to invest in Matt's evolution while leaving room for an explosive, yet thematically rich, encounter down the line. In conclusion, the Punisher's absence from Daredevil, Born Again is not a mere oversight, but rather a deliberate narrative choice. By focusing on Daredevil's complexities and moral dilemmas, while keeping Frank Castle at bay, the series not only emphasizes character development, but also invites viewers to engage in thoughtful exploration of justice, violence, and redemption. As fans await Frank's reemergence, they cannot help but wonder how this absence will shape the forthcoming stories that have always transcended mere action, digging into the intricate fabric of the human experience.